Welcome back. This time we're talking about The Big Sick, which I would describe, hopefully without being too cliche, as a romantic comedy for those that don't typically like romantic comedies. This is an extremely enjoyable film, very sweet, very funny, and honestly feels pretty realistic, which should not be a huge surprise because it's based on actual events from the lives of its co-writers, Kumail Nanjiani and Emily V. Gordon. The film follows the pair, with Kumail playing himself and Emily played by Zoe Kazan, as they meet, sort of fall in love, and then have their relationship tested by both the cultural differences between their families as well as an illness that befalls Emily. Now, Kumail's probably best known these days for Silicon Valley and Portlandia, and I have to say I have not seen either of those shows. So this really was my first introduction to him as an actor, and I really enjoyed him in this movie. You can tell this is a very personal film, both from the acting as well as the writing. And I have to give both him and Emily a lot of credit. This is a story that is obviously very personal to them, and they are sharing it with a large audience, and in the case of Kumail, actually playing himself through a fictionalized version of events that he himself went through. At the beginning of the film, Kumail is a stand-up comic and Uber driver, and one night after a show meets a young woman named Emily, and they kind of hit it off and begin a relationship. For Kumail, this is a problem because his family is very traditional, and they expect him to keep to all of the Islamic requirements of his faith, as well as eventually marrying a Pakistani woman that they're going to pick for him. His parents are basically setting up an arranged marriage because that's how it works in his culture. And him falling somewhat in love with a white girl that they've never met doesn't really fall into their plans. So that is eventually going to cause some serious strain on their relationship. And not to spoil too much, but if you've seen the trailers, you know that Emily eventually falls very ill and is in the hospital. And it is during this time that Kumail kind of has to find a way to not necessarily bond, but at least get along with her parents, who are played in the film by Hunter and Ray Romano. And that's basically the setup. And what really sells this is the execution. This is a very well made film, a very well written film, and a very well acted film. I myself am a fan of stand-up comedy, and some of the best stand-up comedy is finding humor in situations and events that we don't necessarily consider funny. And when it really works, it does it in a way that doesn't belittle those events, but allows people to find the humor in things where sometimes we need the laughter and it's hard to find. And like I said earlier, this is obviously a very personal story for them, and kind of showcases how they've been able to find humor in some not very funny things that have happened to them in their lives. And in that way, I would almost say this film is like educational. I think it's a great date movie. It's just to show people, whether in relationships or in other aspects of their lives, where bad things happen, but sometimes we need to find the humor in it. No, that doesn't mean we're demeaning the seriousness of it, but sometimes laughter can really be the best medicine. And both, again, in relationships and in life in general, if we have the ability to find a bit of laughter when we truly need it, and that's sometimes when it's the hardest to find, can be a great thing. And that's something I really enjoyed about this movie, and something I took out of it and was thinking about after I left the theater. So really, if you're looking for a good date movie, or just a romantic comedy that's honestly better and more realistic than what we typically get in that genre, this is one I would highly recommend to check out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, it's very sweet, it's funny, it's not laugh out loud funny, because it's not trying to be. It's, again, trying to find that bit of humor that can just take the edge off of sometimes serious moments and circumstances that we face in our lives. And in that, I think it completely succeeded. So this one definitely gets a high recommendation from me. If you can find it, it's expanded nationwide, so you should be able to find it in a theater near you. And if you can, and it looks like something you might be interested in, definitely go see it. Now, if you've seen The Big Sick, what did you think about it? As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.